So today in Metal Oda, my guest is the wonderful Meola, and he needs no introduction, I guess. So, Master, welcome to our chat.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yesterday was your birthday, and I wish you a wonderful and happiest birthday. And you
Thanks
were
so much.
yesterday in Stuttgart Jazz Open, and
Yeah.
the audience was singing happy birthday to you. And
Yes.
how is the
Yes.
tour going?
Touring very well. It was the intention of the tour was to visit after more than 40 years, revisit the early records, the ones that kind of
Hmm.
brought me to prominence, the ones that
Mhm.
uh
Mhm.
the very beginning, the three records were my most popular.
Yeah,
And now I'm up to, with this new record, I'm up to probably 34
fantastic.
solo albums, even though the record's called 24,
Yeah.
but that's
Hmm.
that's because
Hmm.
the year it was finished. But so I have two completely different worlds going on. I with the electric band, we're primarily revisiting those early
Hmm.
songs that the real fans know and grew up with.
Yeah.
And I didn't think before that I would ever do that, but um, it turned out to be some kind of demand for it, and I found a new urgency and to pull out those charts and play them again, and it's been
Wonderful.
a lot of fun. Uh, and then we have the new record, which is
Yeah.
completely different.
It is out actually this Friday on the 19th, and
Mm.
it's entitled 24. And this wonderful song, Eva's Dance in the Moonlight, is after your daughter, I
Yeah.
think.
She was the inspiration behind the piece.
Great.
Uh, that happened with her coming down into my studio to say goodnight, and she had just absorbed and was inspired. This is a 4-year-old, and she was just so completely in love with the Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite that we took her to see.
Oh,
The music, of course, is beautiful, and with the dance ballerinas and all. So she came down and inspired me by her movements, trying to move like
mm,
the ballerina. And I started to play this figure that you hear, the starting
yeah.
figure in
Uh-huh.
5/4 time.
Mhm.
And then I sang the melody. It just came to me at that moment,
At
you
that
know.
moment.
It
Wonderful.
wasn't worked out at all, and so the whole first
Uh-huh.
theme, and melody, and I was singing words to it, Ava's going to sleep tonight, and that kind of thing. And then after she left, I said, this is really this could be infectious,
Mhm.
and I started to write it out. And then
Wonderful.
from there, I thought this beautiful kind of nursery rhyme can be
Yeah.
beautifully orchestrated with percussion and other sections, and then eventually we put a symphonic orchestra on it. So of mine that started with my little. She was 4 years old at the time. She came downstairs to say goodnight. She had her doll in her hands, and she was just kind of doing this little ballerina dance. And I just looked at her, and I just started playing this theme. Inspired this whole song that you're about to hear, called Ava's Dance in the Moonlight.
And is she interested in classical dance or ballet, your daughter?
Not in the European sense.
Mhm.
She's quite musical in that she has
Naturally.
great yeah, I mean, she's got the potential, so it's
Mhm.
really up to her and where she wants to go, and
Great.
whatever passion she finds.
Mhm.
But no, she's not going to a ballerina school or anything like that at the moment. She's
Yeah.
actually going to a German school,
Uh-huh.
private school in New York. So
In New York. Wonderful.
yeah.
And your album, it has so many different musical styles in it. What would you
Mm.
like to say about this new album of yours?
Well, I mean, I've always had a Latin sensibility, which
Mhm.
a more far ranging Latin sensibility. You have so many different forms of Latin.
Yeah.
Tango there's no relation to that Latin form of music
Mhm.
to a Brazilian form of music at all.
Right.
And then there's no relation with those forms of Latin to flamenco,
Uh-huh.
and there's no relation to the islands where there's a salsa influence. But
Mhm.
I've adapted and probably become, over the years since I was a teenager,
Mhm.
influenced by all, and also
Mhm.
Middle Eastern music as well. So there's fragments of all of those influences that just permeate through the music. And
Wonderful.
this record, because I had completely uninterrupted time because of COVID.
Mhm.
I
COVID.
was
Mhm.
home with no interruptions of having to leave for an airport, to pack a
Yeah.
bag, to do interviews for shows. I had total focus of
Mhm.
getting deeper with the music. So it became a composer's record,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
not so much a band record with interplay. That's also wonderful, but we didn't have
Mhm.
that. We didn't have that option at that time. You couldn't fly people, anywhere. Everybody was isolated home. So I really intended this record to be a solo guitar record
Mhm.
originally. It
Wonderful.
turned into a bigger production because I
Yeah.
had just so much time to make
Mhm.
it even more. So
Mhm.
if for me, this record is an evolutionary uh few steps
Mhm.
up in my composing career.
Wonderful. And the quiet of the pandemic, although it was a terrifying time for all of us, as you said, we had plenty of time discovering the inner peace in a way. So it was for you to make this wonderful record. So you had this sensation career as a jazz fusion guitarist for more than 50 years now. And you have started your professional career with Chick Corea's Return to Forever.
Yeah.
I have this little booklet. It's dating from the 1988. It's from the
Oh,
International Istanbul Music Festival. And
oh,
here you are with the Meola
hold on.
project.
Oh, wait,
Hmm.
hold on. Wait,
Yeah.
let me get rid of this. Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh
Yeah,
yes.
I was there, and you played the album, one of my favorite Di Meola works, the Tiramisu. In this festival, you had Paco de Lucia and Astor Piazzolla in the same festival, but with their own bands. And do you have any Istanbul memories from this era with them, of
Oh my
course?
God. I remember first of all, I love the Turkish influence in
Mhm.
music, and I love playing there. And I've
Yeah.
always felt that there's a real special connection with the
Hmm.
Turkish public that have
Hmm.
become acquainted with my music, and like extraordinary in a way.
Hmm.
And I remember I was in a hotel room, and I put on I was just looking through the channels, and there was some
Yeah.
Turkish talk show, and the talk show was going to a commercial, and then the band played on the talk show, and they were playing Egyptian danza.
Oh,
Which
incredible.
I was told that from musicians there that it's like it was a very super famous piece over there. And I thought that was kind of cool. But the audience has always been very well informed of my music, and they see a connection from their world to what I present, you know. And I
Yeah,
feel
you have,
it coming back from the
yeah,
audience in ways
you
that
have,
are very heartfelt.
exactly. You have this solid fan base here in Turkey. In the beginning of your career, you were told there are too many notes in your music, you play too fast. There were some criticisms. This reminded me of the wonderful movie Amadeus by Miloš Forman. And in this
Oh yeah.
movie, the emperor told Mozart that in his opera there were too many notes.
How shall one say, director?
Too many notes, Your Majesty.
Exactly. Very well put. Too many notes.
I don't understand. There are just as many notes, Majesty, as are required, neither more nor less.
And how did you deal with these criticisms
Well,
at the time?
I always had a balance of yeah, in the beginning we all were chops, you know, and technique
Mhm.
focused, you know, but was never at the expense of the music. So there was
Of
always
course.
composition
Mhm.
happening at the same time, as
Mhm.
opposed to young players today that I see, and there's like
Mhm.
videos of them playing, you know, very, very fast, but
Very, very
there's no
fast.
music behind it,
Yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
you know, we were always associated, like when you think of players back from the 70s, you think of not just their playing
Mhm.
ability, whether it be fast or whatever, but you always think of them at the same time. You think of their records, you
Mhm.
know, and their compositions. So
Yeah.
it was a great beginning for me, because when I started with Chick Corea, I mean, Chick Corea is, you know, was my idol. He was uh the way he articulated and played the ideas in his playing, and then
Mhm.
on the other hand, his compositions were incredible. So when I got
Mhm.
the job, you know, the gig,
Yeah.
um, I was immersed in that world, you know,
Yeah.
and I wanted to absorb all the inspiration,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
eventually do my own thing with all of that inspiration. In fact, he pushed me to compose, and at first I was like, why do you want, I don't know if I
Mhm.
can compose. I mean, I don't know. There's no, if
Mhm.
you can play like that, you can compose. You must try. You know, I have to credit
Yeah.
him. I have to compartmentalize in my mind certain things that were so
Mhm.
beneficial, that I credit to his advice. And I got to say, my first record was, I had no idea what I was doing. I was living with my parents, and I'll just try to write. And so I got a big score paper, and I just started to write. And when I went in the studio, I had all of these great musicians, and I said,
Mhm.
I can't
Mhm.
believe I'm here with all of these guys. At 21, I guess I was 21 at the time,
Yes.
and I don't know how it's going to come out, but
It came
it
out
turned out to be the
fantastic.
biggest selling record on Columbia Records that year. And
Mhm.
then when Elegant Gypsy came out, I really felt confident then
Mhm.
that I have a writing style, and
Yeah.
not everybody can write. It's you know, there are some musicians that I love, that I
Mhm.
don't think of them as composers,
Mhm.
you know, but I come from a group with
Mhm.
Chick Corea that it was equal to the playing, you know, his
Yeah.
compositions. And so I think for me now, I think that I'd rather be known as a composer guitarist than a guitarist
Yeah.
composer,
Yeah,
because
I
this
see.
new record is a composer's record. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
composition. I wrote all the notes. I wrote all the parts. I was able to do that because we had an amazing amount of free time
Free time.
due to the isolation period of
Mhm.
COVID,
And let's come to the subject of the Beatles. You are a great Beatles fan, and you have two records. Uh, First, tribute to the Beatles, All Your Life, and Across the Universe. And the Beatles have released recently in November 2023, I guess, at the end of last year, a new record. It's entitled Now and Then. And did you listen to this new? And they say this is the last Beatles song. And though half of the band is gone, of course, they have managed to isolate the voice of John Lennon from an unpublished, unknown recording. So they say it's an authentic Beatles record, but it's not made with artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts on the general speaking sense of artificial intelligence in music nowadays?
Well, it's incredibly scary. I mean, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? It's unbelievable. Um, if you get a chance, we want to look at something that's not to be believed. You put
Hmm.
in the words, go to Google
Yeah.
and put in the words country, and then
Yeah.
the next word Trump, like Donald Trump,
Yeah.
kin, K-I-N.
Kin. K-I-N. Hmm.
Watch this AI video, and you will
Oh
see
my God.
Donald Trump as a country singer in many different country outfits and singing country
Yeah.
songs.
Um,
And it is exactly him singing these country songs.
They shot me in me here, but I'm still here. I'm the one they fear, and I'm still standing here. They can't stop me now, I'm too strong to fall. I'm the leader of the pack, and I'm here to maul.
AI is scary, they
yeah.
could do anything with it. Now the Beatles, when they put out that track, I would have never known that was John Lennon
Hmm.
unless they told me, because
Yeah.
whatever AI did in that particular case didn't work. for me.
Mm.
I'm the biggest Beatles fan.
Mm.
It was not the Beatles at their best. I mean, the period of the
Mm.
Beatles with the
Yeah.
Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, it's so great. Abbey Road, parts of it, you know, so great. They will live
Mhm.
into infamy, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, forever. And there isn't a day that goes by that we are not experiencing something of the Beatles ever. I mean, there's every day there's something about the Beatles.
Mhm.
Um, I lost interest in in those guys when they broke up, because when they went solo,
Mhm.
uh, I then discovered so much more. I wanted to take the guitar to
Yeah.
different avenues, and which is eventually I was led to
Mhm.
Miles Davis and Chick Corea and John McLaughlin and all the
Mhm.
people that were spearheading a new movement called fusion jazz rock,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, actually, the voice of John Lennon was not AI generated, but they have used technology which Peter Jackson is using in filmmaking. But
Yeah.
for me, that was a nice song, lullaby-like, and it's a happy song, I
Look,
guess. Yeah.
it was a very noble and heartfelt thing to do. Yeah, I'm 100% for uh whatever they find of the Beatles, you know, I want to hear it, you know. But it
Yeah.
doesn't sound to me like John in reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
If
I
John were to
see.
sing that in his prime, it would have been John.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
this was altered,
Yeah,
you know.
altered. And maybe, as you say, sometimes some things are meant to be left in the past with good memories, maybe, as you said,
Phenomenal memories. I mean, they life would have not been as wonderful without them.
without them.
It
Yeah,
would not.
they
They
have
really made
changed
life
music.
really far more enjoyable, you know, like
Uh-huh.
they deserve the highest award that the
Yeah,
world can ever give, you know.
they changed music.
And now in my um live show, so that people know in
Hmm.
Istanbul, I
Hmm.
will be playing Ava's Dance in the Moonlight from the new record
Yeah.
with the electric band and with
Hmm.
orchestra. So you're going to hear the
Hmm.
orchestra, that
The
the
orchestra.
actual orchestra, you'll be hearing it.
Wow,
And
great.
we'll be playing that piece, and I probably will play a couple of pieces in the middle of the show. I have a short little acoustic
Hmm.
segment where I'll play a couple of new pieces as well. But the
Wonderful.
beginning and the first half and the second half are primarily from my
Hmm.
early records that
Early
people haven't
records.
heard in
Wow,
a few decades or
it's
more.
gonna be quite a show. In an interview, you said we need music to survive, but it became secondary. Today, people do not think about the music they are listening to, and they have lost, I think, the physical bond, the physical contact with music. I mean, by taking out the vinyl and putting it in the stereo and listening to the
Yeah.
music. As one of my favorite prog rock artists said, there is too much music today that is in the sense of bad music. Your thoughts on today's music production and consumption?
Okay, my theory, well, first of all, there is some good music out there. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Hard to find, but there is some artists that are doing some
Hmm.
uh very artistic things aesthetically, maybe even esoterically, and it might not reach a wide audience. Okay.
Yeah.
But primarily as a whole, it's very difficult now
Hmm.
for a new artist to get worldwide acceptance like we had back in the 70s, because there are no
Yeah.
large record companies to promote them
Mhm.
like in the 70s. But the biggest problem is not only that, but also this. Cell phones are eating up anywhere from 4 to 7 hours of our day.
Yeah, so true.
And that was 4 to 7 hours more we had for practicing
Mm,
or focusing on music. Now,
mhm,
even myself included, you when you look for something on your phone, you get distracted by something else, and then you forget and then
mhm.
you go to something else, and then now you're distracted again, and you wind up. Um, there's so much positive to the cell phone, but on the other hand, we
Yeah,
don't have the same focus like
no.
we did in earlier times before the personal cell phones. We went in the studio with a whole band before
Mhm,
phones like this, and everybody was completely focused on the music. No one
yeah.
was looking at their phones in between, or when the track was
Mhm,
finished, they would run out in the hallway and everybody's on
mhm.
their computers or their
True,
phones,
true.
network. I have to answer this and I gotta write, oh, someone so, you know, uh the focus to make a record now is 1/10.
Mhm. I see.
1/10. And the budgets for records are 1/10
Mhm.
also. And those big record companies are, they're not, this is not the glory days of the record business. We used to have record stores in every city.
Mhm,
Now
mhm,
there's not one record store in the United States. You know,
mhm,
it's
mhm.
changed. It and that the beauty of holding a record or seeing your new
Yeah,
record in the
exactly.
racks in the store when you walk in, it's
Mhm.
over.
It's
And so
over.
if you're a young musician, you will never get that thrill of
Yeah.
seeing your record in the store, or a consumer will have to order it through Amazon, and it's not like looking through the
Mhm, mhm.
bins like in a store, which was beautiful. It was
It
uh,
was.
it's new technology has its pluses and it has
And
its
yeah,
faults, you
pros
know what
and
I mean?
cons.
So yeah, I have all
Mhm.
my music on here.
Yeah.
The convenience is wonderful in a sense, you know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
I could travel because I travel a lot. I'm not home a lot, so a record player isn't a very vital thing as it was when I was home all the time when I was a
Mhm,
teenager.
mhm, mhm.
But I've gotten so accustomed to the sound, the MP3 sound,
Yeah,
that I completely forgot what vinyl sounds like. But it's making a comeback, but
a comeback.
not like
Mhm.
it was, but all of my records, my new records are coming out in vinyl. So there
Yeah.
is a market now. And now
Mhm.
there's a new Aldi Meola turntable, a signature
Wonderful.
turntable being made in
Yeah,
Germany, which is
I have seen this on your
yeah,
Instagram page. Yeah, wonderful. And metal artist I have interviewed, he said, when you listen from the Spotify, you don't own music, he said. You just have access to listening. If you don't have any internet, you don't own this music. And as for the vinyl, you pay for the vinyl, bring it home, and you put it on the stereo and listen to it, and you own music. And it
yeah.
was just a remark.
Yeah, I prefer that way.
Yeah,
I
me
prefer
too.
to
Yeah.
buy it in a store and own it and look at all
Hmm.
the pictures and
Yeah, the
study
pictures.
who all the people that worked on it and
Exactly.
I would play it every day and it was beautiful. Um, the best days are gone.
Exactly.
It's a different era and the
Exactly.
kids
It's a
don't
new
know
age,
about the better
a
era. They
different
don't know
era.
it. I
Hmm.
mean, those giant record stores like Tower Records and all, and I used to immediately go to those stores, almost, if not daily, every other day, I was in those
Yeah.
stores looking and discovering new records sometimes they would play the music in the store. And I go, wow, what is that? You know, and
What is that?
it was
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
Now everything is online. And the
Online.
problem with online is, if you're a musician, is that there's so many places to go, checking email, checking the WhatsApp, and then checking Messenger, and then let's see what records are out. And yeah, too
Yeah,
many options created a short attention span.
yeah,
And I made a record that goes completely against the grain. The listener needs to have a longer attention span. You know, I wasn't going to go where the popular direction was, which was short, short, really short. Move on to the next thing. You know,
yeah,
this takes there's a lot of meat to the music. You know.
yeah. And you know, Metal Oda is of course a metal music platform. You have shared the stage with so many wonderful musicians such as Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and Zakk Wylde. And do you listen to metal music? Maybe it's a question and the answer of which the followers of Metal Oda would be curious to know about.
Not too much. No.
Not too much.
Not too much. No. I mean, when I was a teenager and Led Zeppelin came out, we all listened to the first few albums.
Yeah,
In particular, I did. And it was groundbreaking, you know.
it is.
What other heavy metal? There's not a lot of heavy metal, you know, because I come from a more of a Beatles songs,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
melodies,
Melody.
harmony. Heavy metal had the problem of starting the song loud, and it just stays loud.
Hmm.
And very, very seldom did they use dynamics in the music. So you get the first minute is very exciting, and then you become like, oh, you know, they just never knew how to utilize important dynamics to
Yeah,
keep you involved with the music. But some people love that. They love the headbang through the
right.
whole thing, you know. It's not for me.
Maybe progressive rock and metal
Well,
is
the progressive
something
thing
which
right
is,
now, there's an
yeah,
artist,
yeah,
there's an
it's
actual
artistic
artist
stuff. Hmm.
from Armenia who I love. Um, and he's combining heavy metal with some very intricate, beautiful and phrasings of, you know, you could really feel Armenia, or even that area of the world. You know, it could be even Turkish in a sense, because they're so close. And it's definitely, for me, the most interesting music I've heard from a new artist. His name is Tigran Hamasyan.
Hmm. And of course, the music from the Middle East is also very interesting because they are fusing elements from their traditional music. As you said,
Yeah,
the Armenian music, maybe they are combining lots of folkloric elements in their music. For me, also, it's
right.
very interesting as a music.
I love to hear in the music, you know, the roots of where that person comes from.
Hmm. Yeah,
Just like I did with Paco in Spain, or Astor Piazzolla in
yeah.
Argentina. Um, yeah, it's beautiful to invoke those imagery of the place of
Hmm.
their origin.
Yeah, and speaking of Latin music and especially Brazilian music, I have
Yeah,
mentioned Heitor Villa-Lobos.
yeah,
Was your
yeah.
music in a way influenced by his composing?
I love Villa-Lobos. I
Mhm.
played Villa-Lobos.
Yeah,
I'm completely inspired by Brazilian music over the
yeah.
years since I was very young. I find Brazil to have emerged such great composers.
Hmm.
I don't think of other South American countries as deep as Brazil has gotten, except for maybe Argentina, but tango is
Yeah.
completely
Mhm.
different. It's much more
Mhm.
classical in a sense. Villa
Yeah.
Lobos was classical, but you have composers like Gismonti, Milton Nascimento,
Mhm.
on and on and on and on and on.
No, no, no.
Brazil is
Mhm.
super rich, Villa Lobos
Musically.
was,
Mhm.
yeah, pretty incredible. Yeah.
You even
And don't
have,
forget Antonio Carlos Jobim too,
of course. And you know, there's a little bird from the Amazon rainforest which can sing with syncopation and with traditional elements from the Brazilian music.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Villa-Lobos composed an entire tone poem on this bird, and even Bird of Brazil is also a musician. Well, you have this Meola House Events you are
Yes.
doing. You are welcoming some guests, and I
Yeah.
know that it also has a charity factor in it. Please tell us a little bit about those Meola House Events.
Well, it started in the summer of 2020, with when we were in COVID, and
Mhm.
I invited a couple of friends over the house,
Yeah.
and they were outside on the porch, and I said to my wife that I'm gonna make them something unbelievably special, an Italian dish with a
Yeah.
recipe that I invented from kind of a Napoli tradition. And I said to my wife, while in the middle of cooking this dish, I said, go live stream,
Oh,
film me live stream. So we got
yeah.
a lot of comments from people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of it, I just looked up because I had a couple of glasses of wine. I said, and if you like, you can come here and I'll cook for you in person. I was only kidding.
How nice.
So we read the comments, and there was a lot of people that were interested. And I said, "Wow,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can do this, and make almost like a business out of it,
Yeah.
and make it part charity for tinnitus, the ATA association."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in addition to inviting them to experience like
Mm-hmm.
the most gourmet meal they ever had, with many courses of Italian food, I would then they would then come down into my studio, and I would do a show, like a solo
Wonderful.
show, or
Great.
invite them to also at the end of the show jam or a lesson. So
Mm-hmm.
it became a phenomenal, very original idea
Yeah,
that
it
it
is.
was really involved my wife. It was like joint. It was like 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
We were working on something together, as opposed to when I go out on tour. So
Mm-hmm.
it became a fun project that we both enjoy, and I couldn't do it without her. She couldn't do it without me.
All right. And the last question, of course. And
Okay.
what music means to you in just one word?
Life,
Life itself.
life,
Wonderful.
life. Without music, we would die.
Exactly.
We can't live without art and music.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
Without art.
insanity.
Yeah.
It would be total insanity in the world without music. So it's life. That's the answer.
So you will be in Istanbul on the 26th of September this year, and with the Electric Years tour, and the concert is organized by Epiphany Events. Master Aldimeola, thank you so much for being my
My
guest here
pleasure.
in Metal Oda,
Okay.
and thank
Looking
you.
forward to seeing you.
Bye bye. See you in
Take care
Istanbul,
now.
hopefully. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Okay.